Section 1. The Invisible Asset, the Silent Ruler of the Economy 1. Opening. The Deep Architecture of Influence. Welcome to Julian's Library. Please, make yourself comfortable. Today, we are not here for a superficial discussion. We are here to perform a deep tissue scan of human influence. Have you ever stopped to consider why certain individuals command absolute, pin-drop silence the moment they enter a room? We often label this phenomenon as charisma or presence. We tell ourselves it's a byproduct of their achievements, their tailored suits, or perhaps their towering height. But empirical science suggests something far more visceral, something that operates beneath the level of conscious thought. The most potent tool in your professional arsenal is not your intellect, nor is it your resume. It is the specific frequency of the sound waves vibrating from your vocal cords. In this 1-hour masterclass, we are going to dissect what I call the economics of voice. We will explore how a mere 25 Hz drop in your vocal pitch, a difference so small it's barely a few keys on a piano, can translate into an additional $187,000 in annual compensation. We will analyze why the world's most successful leaders share a specific acoustic signature. And most importantly, I will provide you with the psychological and physiological blueprint to master this invisible asset. If you have spent your career focusing only on what you say, you have been ignoring 90% of your impact. By the time this hour is over, your perception of your own voice and your place in the professional hierarchy will be permanently altered. 2. The Duke University Revelation, Data Behind the Bass. Let us examine the hard data that shatters our illusions of pure meritocracy. In 2013, a landmark study was conducted at Duke University's Fuqua School of Business. This wasn't a small-scale social experiment. Researchers analyzed the vocal frequencies of 792 male CEOs of major American companies. They didn't record these leaders in casual settings. They captured their voices during quarterly earnings calls, the ultimate high-pressure arena where every syllable can cause a stock price to fluctuate by billions. The findings were nothing short of a revelation. The data showed a direct, linear correlation between lower vocal pitch and professional success. Specifically, a decrease in voice frequency of just 25 Hz was associated with managing firms with $440 million more in assets. But the economic impact extended to the individuals themselves. Those CEOs with deeper, more resonant voices earned, on average, nearly $200,000 more per year than their higher-pitch counterparts. Now ask yourself why? Why would a sophisticated investor, a person trained in cold, hard logic and financial modeling, be swayed by the depth of a man's voice? To find the answer, we must peel back the layers of our modern civilization and look at the raw biology underneath. 3. The evolutionary OS. Why the brain bows to bass. To understand the power of the low voice, we must travel back to the ancestral environment. Our brains are effectively running a 50,000-year-old operating system. While we live in a world of digital interfaces, our subconscious is still scanning for survival signals. In the savannah, a deep voice was an honest signal. It was a biological marker for physical size, high testosterone, and emotional stability. A deep resonance meant the leader was calm. It meant they weren't wasting energy on panic. When our ancestors faced a predator, they didn't follow the person with the most complex argument. They followed the person whose voice suggested they were the most physically and mentally grounded. In the modern boardroom, or during a high-stakes digital negotiation, these same primitive triggers are still active. A high-pitched or thin voice is perceived as a signal of tension, fear, or a lack of physical authority. It triggers an ancient anxiety response in the listener, but a deep, stable frequency suggests a lack of cortisol, the stress hormone. When you speak with resonance, you are telling the world's subconscious, I am the anchor in this storm. This is the hidden pillar of leadership. Over the next 45 minutes, We will learn how to build this pillar manually, regardless of the voice you were born with. Section 2. The Architecture of Authority, Strategic Vocal Transformation 1. Historical Mastery. Constructing the leader's voice. Having established that the human brain is biologically biased toward lower frequencies, we must address the most critical question. Is your vocal destiny fixed at birth? Many believe that their voice is an unchangeable biological trait, like the color of their eyes. However, history and science tell a far more empowering story. Your voice is not a fixed attribute, it is a construct. It is an instrument that can be rebuilt, tuned, and mastered. Consider one of the most famous examples of strategic vocal transformation in the 20th century. Before she was known as a globally dominant figure, Margaret Thatcher faced a significant hurdle. Early in her career, her natural speaking voice was described by critics and the public as shrill, thin, and nervous. It was a voice that projected tension rather than authority. She realized that to lead a nation through a period of immense change, she needed to sound like the anchor she intended to be. She did not leave this to chance. She worked with elite vocal coaches from the National Theatre to fundamentally alter her acoustic profile. They didn't just teach her to speak slower, they taught her to lower her pitch by nearly an entire octave. She learned to shift her resonance from her throat to her chest. The transformation was so profound that it didn't just change how she sounded. It changed how the world perceived her intellect and her resolve. This historical precedent proves that vocal authority is a skill that can be acquired through disciplined practice. Whether you are leading a corporation or a private enterprise, you are the architect of your own resonance. 2. The anatomy of power, shifting the resonance. To rebuild your voice, you must first understand the anatomy of the instrument you carry within you. Most people, especially in high-stress professional environments, suffer from what we call vocal constriction. When the stakes are high, the muscles surrounding the larynx tighten. This tension pulls the voice box upward, shortening the vocal tract and forcing the pitch into a higher, more fragile range. This is the sound of a person who is reacting to their environment rather than commanding it. True authority lives in what we call thoracic resonance. Think of your body as a musical instrument, a high-end cello. The vocal folds in your throat are merely the strings. If you try to produce a powerful sound using only the strings, it will be thin and sharp. The true beauty and power of the cello come from the large, hollow wooden body that vibrates in sympathy with the strings. In humans, that body is your chest cavity. To access your full economic and authoritative potential, you must learn to move the center of gravity of your speech. By relaxing the throat and engaging the diaphragm, you allow the sound to resonate within your chest. This creates a sound that is not just lower in pitch, but thicker in texture. It is a sound that literally carries more physical weight. When you speak from your core, the air you expel is steady and supported. This stability is what the listener's brain perceives as unshakable confidence. You are no longer just making a sound. You are vibrating the space around you. 3. The commodity of time. Tempo as a status signal. While pitch is the frequency of your authority, tempo is the currency of your status. In the hierarchy of human communication, the person who speaks the fastest is often the one perceived to have the lowest status. Why? Because speaking quickly is a sign of time poverty. It suggests that you are afraid of being interrupted or that you believe your listener's time is far more valuable than your own. You are rushing to deliver value before the opportunity is taken away from you. High-status individuals, conversely, treat time as a commodity they own. They speak with a deliberate, measured pace. This doesn't mean speaking so slowly that you become tedious. It means speaking with the calm assurance that what you have to say is worth every second of the listener's attention. When you combine a low-frequency resonance with a controlled, steady tempo, you create a psychological effect known as gravitas. You become the person who slows down the room. In a negotiation or a boardroom, the person who controls the tempo of the conversation is the person who controls the outcome. By slowing down, you give yourself the cognitive bandwidth to choose the most powerful words, and you give your listener the space to fully absorb the weight of your intellect. In the next section, we will look at how to combine this physical mastery with the internal stoicism required to maintain it under the most extreme professional pressure. Section 3. The Stoic Frequency. Mastery of the Internal Instrument 1. The biological leak, stress, and the nervous system. Now that we have explored the physical architecture of the voice, we must address the invisible force that often sabotages it, the human nervous system. You may have the perfect anatomical understanding of resonance, but if your internal state is compromised, your voice will betray you. In high-stakes professional environments, stress is not just a feeling, it is a physiological event. When you face a difficult negotiation, a critical boardroom presentation, or a moment of crisis, your body initiates the fight or flight response. Adrenaline and cortisol flood your system. Your heart rate accelerates, and your breathing becomes shallow and thoracic. Most importantly, the muscles surrounding your larynx, your voice box, constrict. This tension is what I call a biological leak. Even if you are trying to project confidence with your words, the high-pitched, strained frequency of your voice is broadcasting your internal panic to everyone in the room. You are literally leaking your lack of authority through the airwaves. To master your frequency, you must first master your internal stoicism. The Stoic philosophers understood that while we cannot always control the chaos of the external world, we have absolute sovereignty over our internal response. By training your nervous system to remain calm under pressure, you prevent the vocal squeeze that erodes your status. When you maintain a low, stable frequency during a crisis, you are not just speaking. You are performing a feat of psychological dominance. You are showing the world that your internal foundation is deeper than the external storm. 2. The 25 Hz Workshop, Practical Exercises for Deep Resonance. Let us transition from theory to practice. I want this to be a workshop for your internal instrument. To achieve that consistent 25 Hz drop, we must treat the voice like any other elite skill. It requires neuromuscular re-education. Exercise 1. The foundation of the low hum. Close your eyes for a moment. Place your hand firmly on your sternum, the center of your chest. I want you to produce a low, steady sound. Do not push it from your throat. Imagine the sound is a heavy stone sitting at the bottom of your lungs. Your goal is to make your chest bone vibrate. If you feel the vibration in your nose or your teeth, you are still in the social register. You must move the energy down until your hand feels the resonance in your chest. This is your executive baseline. Practice this for 3 minutes every morning. You are teaching your brain to associate speech with the stability of your core. Exercise 3. The vocal fry relaxation technique. Many people shy away from vocal fry, that gravelly, creaky sound at the bottom of the range. However, for the purpose of training, it is an essential tool. Slowly slide your pitch down from your normal speaking voice until the sound begins to break and become textured. This state occurs when your vocal folds are at their most relaxed and thickest. By spending time in this gravelly range, you are training the muscles of your throat to let go of tension. When you return to normal speech, you will find that your baseline has naturally shifted lower. You are giving your voice the permission to be heavy. 3. Cognitive command. The mental anchor of authority beyond the physical, there is the cognitive. To maintain a low-frequency presence, you must adopt the mental anchor. Before you enter any room, or before you begin any significant communication, I want you to visualize your voice as a deep, dark pool of water. High-status individuals do not seek to rise to meet the energy of the room. Instead, they force the room to descend to their level. If someone speaks to you with high-pitched, rapid energy, your instinctual response is to mirror them. You must resist this. By maintaining your low, measured tone, you are asserting your psychological frame. This is where the 25 Hz advantage becomes a competitive edge. In a world of noise and frantic energy, the person with the deepest, most stable resonance becomes the natural point of gravity. People will lean in to hear you. They will grant you their full attention because your voice signals that you are a source of truth and stability. Remember, you are not just modulating a sound, you are modulating your identity. In our final section, we will integrate these skills with the art of silence, learning how to use your new voice to command the room without saying a word, and how to project this authority across the global digital landscape. Section 4. The Art of Silence and Global Impact. Your legacy begins 1. The strategic silence, the sound of absolute certainty. We have spent the vast majority of this hour discussing the power of sound, the frequencies that move markets, and the resonance that commands rooms. But now, we must address the most sophisticated element of communication, the power of its absence. In the world of elite influence, the silence between your words is just as important as the words themselves. High-status individuals do not rush to fill the void. They are comfortable with silence because they do not feel the need to justify their presence with constant chatter. In a high-stakes negotiation or a critical meeting, silence is the ultimate signal of confidence. It shows that you are not seeking approval, you are projecting certainty. Imagine you are in a boardroom, and you have just stated your position or delivered your proposal. Most people, sensing the tension of the following silence, will immediately start talking again to soften the blow or fill the gap. This is a mistake. By doing so, you are eroding the weight of your previous statement. I want you to try this. State your most important point in your new, low-frequency resonance. And then stop. Look your audience in the eye, maintain your posture, and wait. The pressure of that silence will force the other party to reveal their hand. Silence is the negative space that makes the frequency of your voice feel twice as heavy. It is the sound of a mind that is disciplined enough to let the world wait for its next move. 2. Global presence, the universal language of frequency. We live in a world that is more connected, yet more distracted than ever before. In 2026, your influence is no longer limited by your physical geography. Through digital platforms and the tools of modern creation, such as the video editing software you are likely using to view this lecture, you have the ability to project your presence across every border and time zone. The vocal integrity we have built today is a universal language. Whether you are speaking to an audience in New York, London, Singapore, or Tokyo, a deep, resonant frequency is recognized as a biological marker of strength and stability. It transcends cultural barriers because it speaks directly to the primitive human brain. As you build your global presence, consider your voice as your digital passport. When you produce content, when you lead remote teams, or when you pitch to international partners, your frequency is the first thing they perceive. It is the foundation upon which your intellect is built. By mastering this instrument, you are not just improving your local career, you are preparing yourself to be a leader on the global stage. You are building a legacy that is defined not by how loud you can shout, but by how deeply your voice can resonate in the minds of others. 3. The final synthesis. Your transformation is complete. We have reached the end of our hour together. From the 25 Hz economic gap proven by Duke University to the strategic vocal reconstruction of history's greatest leaders. From the anatomy of thoracic resonance to the internal stoicism required to maintain your pitch under the most extreme professional pressure. But as we close this study, remember that knowledge without consistent action is merely intellectual entertainment. Your voice is a muscle, and your authority is a habit. It requires the same dedication you give to any elite skill. It requires you to be conscious of your breath, your tempo, and your internal state in every interaction. The 25 Hz drop is within you. It has always been there, waiting for you to claim it. Every morning, you have a choice. You can project the reactive, high-pitched energy of the crowd, or you can project the deep, resonant certainty of a leader. I challenge you to record yourself today. Use the AI tools at your disposal to analyze your own tone. Listen for the depth, the stability, and the weight in your voice. Thank you for spending this hour in my library. This is not the conclusion of your journey, but the beginning of your mastery. If you are ready to continue this exploration of influence, psychology, and the science of success, I invite you to join our global community. Subscribe, and let us build a world where the voice of reason is also the voice of strength. Stay stoic, stay resonant, and most importantly, stay true to the sound of your own soul. I am Julian. I will see you in the next lecture.